Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the Astronomical League video sessions. My name is John Goss, former president of the Astronomical League. This program is one of a series of presentations in conjunction with the 75th anniversary of the League. The League was founded on November 15th, 1946, with just under 1,500 members. Today, it's grown significantly. We have well over 18,000 members spread across the country, as well as a number of international members. Today, we have with us Al Lamperti, who is the program director of the Flat Galaxy Observing Program. The League offers a number of these programs, somewhere around 70, to help you get out under the stars, enjoy them, see what's up there, find your place under the night sky. The Flat Galaxy program is one of them. It is not really it's not a beginner's program, and it takes some experience to be able to do it. But Al is going to explain the program thoroughly, what flat galaxies are and why they are really cool to look at. So without further comment, Al, would you like to take over and tell us about flat galaxies?
Okay, sure do. What I have done in this short presentation is to divide it into 4 segments. First segment is how did I get started in this and how did it evolve into an observing program for the Astronomical League. Second segment would be what is the purpose of the program and what is unique about it? What makes the flat galaxies a very unique object to observe? Third segment is are the requirements necessary for the observing program? And then lastly, some comments from people who have done it and a picture or two from people who have submitted their images for certificate and pin. So when did I start? It was way back in the fall of 2006. I happened to have a software program called Deep Sky Software. At the time, it was run by Steve Tuma. And I'll show you on the next slide that it's still around, but it's now under the auspices of someone else. But this Deep Sky software, what I liked about it is that it had a number of databases in it. And what I would do is click on set the filters and then click on a number of any one of the databases that are in there. And I chose revised flat galaxy catalog, RFGC, right here. I've got these other 2 checked off. That's a story for another time. And so once I click that, then I would get on the screen a listing of all the galaxies in that particular catalog. And before I show you that, let me just show you that what is available right now. It's Deep Sky Astronomy software, and it's run now by Mike Haka, who is well known to the Astronomical League. And when I emailed him a few days ago, telling him I wanted to put a plug-in for it, he says, don't forget to tell him that it's free. And it's a fairly robust program. I'm not going to go through it all, but one of the things that we can click on are screenshots, and he's got 36 screenshots. I'm only showing you 12. There's Saturn, Moon, double stars, variable stars, but I want to show you that the main spreadsheet looks very much like what I saw back in 2006. This particular screenshot is for the Messier objects. So what I did back in 2006, I took the database that was given me, and I'd like to make Excel sheets that will fit on a page if you can print it out. And there are a lot of columns here that may not necessarily be all that informative. Yes, constellation is important. The revised flat galaxy catalog number is important. The old number is not important. The principal galaxy catalog number, not so important. At the NGC, UGC numbers, I think are, and of course, the RA and DEC in size. Some of the magnitudes are from different places. So I kind of revised that a little bit And what I did was make an Excel sheet that shows the constellation, the RFGC number, the NGC number, the RA and DEC, and the size. And the major axis and minor axis is quite important. I'm going to get back to this concept in a little bit, because the ratio of the two determine whether this is a flat galaxy or not. I put in the magnitudes, what page they are in the first edition of Uranometria, what page they are in the second edition, and what page they're in Millennium for those who use paper atlases. So what I did next was made up some files. The first file, which is now up on the Astronomical League website on the flat galaxy, is a list of the flat galaxies by right extension. And it's an Excel sheet, or you can also print a PDF. And there are 220 of them. The second appendix is a list of flat galaxies by constellation. Some people like to look at objects by constellation rather than by right ascension. And again, they're the same 220 flat galaxies that I chose. And then the last one is a list of the flat galaxies that are above minus 30 degrees declination for the convenience of those in the Northern Hemisphere. So there are 172 of those. And so I had to write up a proposal to the Astronomical League, and this included not only the information I just showed you, but a little introduction and overview. And why do we pick flat galaxies as an observing program? Well, first of all, it is a very much a visual challenge. One of the things I learned at an Astronomical League convention in Minnesota was a talk by an ophthalmologist, I believe, that the human visual system and the nervous system are wired in such a way that we can actually see better a sudden drop off in brightness rather than a gradual diminishing of brightness if we're looking at a galaxy. So flat galaxies give us that fairly sharp edge of contrast between the galaxy and the black background. So that makes it a challenge and also something a little different. So it is a pleasant change of pace from the usual faint fuzzies, and it is quite demanding, and it expands one's horizon as well. Now, the flat galaxies are defined as having at least a diameter of 40 arc seconds. That's pretty small. Many of them are much larger than that. But the major concept here of flat galaxies is the ratio of the major axis to the minor axis. So the long axis is the major axis, and the short axis is the minor. So if a galaxy is 21 arc minutes long and 3 arc minutes wide, then 3 into 21 is 7. So it's at least, that ratio is at least 7, which classifies it as a flat galaxy. So a lot of them are a lot higher than that. And interestingly, Karachentsev back a few years ago published a paper where he found a very tight correlation between the linear diameter of these flat galaxies and the width of the 21 centimeter line that can be detected by astrophysicists. That's a little bit beyond us as amateurs, but there is a scientific reason for studying these flat galaxies. Now, there are thousands of these things, but many of them are beyond the limit of what we can see with amateur telescopes. So I limited them to those galaxies that are brighter than 15th. Many are much brighter and within the realm or scope of a telescope that may be in the 13 to 15-inch range. So amateurs can actually see these visually and also imaging. And the purpose of the program was to provide a visual challenge for visual observers and also for images. A lot of the submissions are uh, uh, from imagers, and both visual and imaging observers find that the program is designed to hone their skills a little bit much more than previously. And we want to determine the position angle of the flat galaxies. I'm going to explain that in a little bit, exactly what that is. Very much similar to the position angle of double stars. So the objective is to provide a venue for the amateur, particularly those who have had some experience with some of the other programs, and become familiar with this particular class of galaxies, and see how easy or how difficult it is to detect them. And also it just brings to a spotlight this particular flat galaxy as an unusual subclass of galaxies. So what are the requirements? I said there were 220 flat galaxies to pick from. You can pick any 50 from that list and you get a regular certificate. Some people have chosen to do that and then later do another 50 so they can get an honorary certificate plus a pin. So we've had 49 certificates so far, and we're up to, because some people had both regular and honorary, but I just issued number 40 last Saturday. So the observations can be done visually or photographically, and the certificate number is indicated with a V or an I, so that those who are going for imaging certificates can use this as one of those programs. And the galaxies can be located manually or with a go-to telescope, digital setting circles, any way you can. So what's required? The usual, where are you, the sky conditions. We recommend at least maybe a 15-inch, maybe a little less if you're doing imaging. Indicate whether you did it manually or use setting circles or go-to telescope. What was the magnification? What was the RFGC number of the galaxy observed? And any description or details that you picked up, whether it had knots or a dark lane, and the position angle, which I'm going to show you on the next slide. For imaging, same requirements as visual, and plus the position angle and what is the type of camera that you used. And people are pretty forthcoming with all of the details as far as imaging. This is a little device I found on the internet to determine position angle. I printed it out on a piece of paper and glued it to a piece of cardboard. And when the glue dried, I used my scissoring technique from kindergarten and cut out a circle, the diameter of my eyepiece, which happened to be 2 inches. So it fits over the eyepiece very easily. I put a flat galaxy in the eyepiece and turn this position angle finder such that north and west are represented properly in the telescopic view of my eyepiece.
Al, can I make a comment here?
Yeah.
I think this is really good. This is really ingenious to do it this way. Perhaps you ought to share this with the double star people for when they measure their PAs on double stars.
Yeah, this is very eyeballing. It is very rough, and what you would do with double stars between primary and secondary, or here as well with the flat galaxy, you would draw an imaginary line through the long axis or the major axis of the galaxy and approximate the position angle. Here, NGC 4565 has a PA of 140 degrees. Actually, we only go from 0 to 179, because if it's positioned a little differently, then you just turn the dial a little bit. Again, this is not an exam. I'm not asking people to go back because they're 10 degrees off. It's an exercise that will allow one to at least appreciate how to find position angles, not only here, but also for any other program that might involve that, like double stars or multiple stars. Okay, going back to developing this as a program, back during the winter of '07, we had several meetings with 3 other members of the Delaware Valley Amateur Astronomers, John Badelschmidt, Vince Sheets, and Mark Huss. And we discussed and revised and made suggestions, and we met again a few weeks later, and to the point where we were satisfied with it. And it was Vince Sheets who came up, let's make this just a little more difficult. Let's require that we put a position angle in there. So that's the reason we did that. And so in the summer of '09, before that, I had submitted the proposal and filled out the required forms to the Astronomical League. And I attended the Alcon in Hofstra University, where the day before the Alcon started, the council would meet for business and also discuss any new proposals. And I have to tell you, this is my first time meeting the council. I was quite nervous. I felt like I was going into the Supreme Court. It was the Astronomical League, Sanctum Sanctorum, the Holy of Holies. But while I was waiting, this is when I first met John. He came out and kind of explained what was going to happen once we got in there, and he really put me at ease. So I did go in and presented the proposal, answered any questions, which I don't remember what they were at the time, then was asked to leave. Then they made their deliberation, and they told me, yes, it was a good program. We're going to adopt it, but let's do it a year from now, 2010.
I'd like to interject something here.
Yeah.
I remember that, and in 2010, remember that the time was we were right in the middle of the Great Recession.
Yeah, budget.
Yeah, so we're looking at the budget. Can we afford this right now? Well, let's put it off until next year. Yeah, it made more sense to do it the following year, budget-wise. So that was why.
Yeah, and it did. So in July of the following year, it was officially launched. It was up on the website, and the very first certificate was an honorary one to Aaron Clevenson. Has Terry Mann's signature, which is probably a very valuable item right now. I have to tell her that. The images on the certificate were taken by a fellow member, Dick Steinberg, the one who took the image of 4565 that we saw on the first slide. And so, as I mentioned earlier, I gave the certificate number 40 just the other day, and this was an imaging one as well. And this is what the pin looks like. Now, it says it very succinctly and diagrammatically exactly what the flat galaxy is. What resources can one use? If one goes to Alvin Huey's website, faintfuzzies.com, he's got a whole slew of observing guides. And one of them is observing flat galaxies. And also, it is free. And you can download that and print it out, or you can actually buy one that's already printed. It's up to you. But on the inside, he's got a Telrad view of where this particular galaxy is. This is NGC 891 in Andromeda, and a star chart that's about 2 or 3 or 4 degrees across, and then an image of what that galaxy looks like, and some of the data that you may be interested. This one is fairly bright at 10.8. So again, this is a free download. Jack Fitzmyer recently sent me his observations. He uses a remote telescope. This is IC2233, and its PA is almost vertical. It's about 172 degrees in PA. The other one he sent me was NGC 4173, but he also labeled other galaxies that were in the field. And I particularly want to show this because I have recommended to at least 3 other people who have submitted not only flat galaxies, but for another program. They had other objects in the field. And I said, a good cloudy night project, rating day project, go back and ID those objects. And because you never know when you want to refer to that in the future. Did I see NGC 4174? Well, you may have it in your database and you can find it. And as long as one has taken the image or made a sketch and went through all of the trouble of getting that one flat galaxy, might as well take that information and use it for anything else that you might find in the field. And again, it's expanding horizons, expanding your repertoire of what you have seen already. One thing I also did, I use an Argo Navis in my own telescope. I made up a text file of flat galaxies so I can find them easier. Most of them are NGCs, as you can see, and the Argo Navis has all the NGCs, also has a separate database for UGCs, but here I have indicated all the flat galaxies in one place, so it's just easy to dial in FG and then go to the number. Now, some comments from people who have gotten these, who've done this program. This person said it really did expand his knowledge of astronomy and his skill set, so I was happy to hear that. This particular person said it was tough and it pushed him to his limit, and he was very happy to have done that program. And this person will continue to see more of, observe more of those in the future, and thanks all of us for doing that. And there's one particular comment from Steve Bookout. He's a member at large, a little bit of a character. I haven't emailed him in a while, but he's a funny guy to talk to. And he did this project a few years back, and he was having fun doing it, even though I wasn't going to give him a certificate signed by me. But here's a scan of one of his sketches, and he says on the bottom, "Why did Al let me suck me into this? This is the hardest one yet." Or maybe it's just he's too tired. Well, it was 10 at midnight Central Time when he did this, but he did enjoy it, and he did get a certificate for that. So I encourage you to, if you're listening, if you are looking for a nice challenge, this is a little something off the beaten path, and I look forward to accepting and looking at your observations, whether 50 or 100 of them.
Yeah,
Okay.
Al, the last slide you showed from that gentleman, his records. I noticed that the magnification he was using was 300 power. So this must have been a galaxy on the small side as far as angular size goes.
You have to look it up. The 3926. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'd like to say a couple of things about this program. I have seen a few, but not very many flat galaxies, and I have found them to be ethereal to look at. I have found them to be have many Cheshire cat attributes. You see it, and then it's gone. Then it pops back into view, and then it kind of shimmers away. It's really interesting to see these things because they appear different each time you observe them, and that is really something to behold, really. And also, this program, the galaxies are pretty dim. Um, some are 11th magnitude, but we get 12, 13, 14, and so on. So it's not really a beginning program. But if you want to get a taste of it, and you have already progressed past the Messier program, there are a few flat galaxies which an intermediate amateur astronomer can easily see. There's the NGC 891 and 465, and 465. Those are two objects which are really interesting to see in a moderate sized telescope. So if you'd like to have a taste of what it's like, go ahead and pursue those two. And if you really like it, then you can jump in to the rest of all these and either pull your hair out or really enjoy it. So I think that's a good progress to use.
Anything that is faint and that you observe, of course, you want to use all the tricks you can. Put a hood over your head, tap the telescope a little bit, use averted vision. And
Well,
if you don't see it, come back another night.
one trick which you kind of alluded to was your star chart. If you have a fairly detailed star chart which shows exactly where that galaxy is, so there you are looking through the telescope and you can see some of the dimmer stars around it, you should be able to, you will know exactly where that galaxy should be and focus your attention in that area. And if you can't see it, well, you can't see it. But if you can see it, at least you'll know exactly where you're looking and that you were correct in your observation.
Correct. You're looking at the star patterns in the field, correct? And I'd be using that also for the active galactic nuclei presentation.
Sure. Well, that helps in really in any faint endeavor. If you're doing this catalog, or if you're doing, let's say, the Herschel catalog or the Herschel 2 or so on. Speaking of the different catalogs, it occurred to me that this program really is suited for people who have just finished the ARP Peculiar Galaxy program. Those galaxies are all of different shapes and sizes, but they're on the dim side. And the reason why you're looking at these different ARPs is to see the intergalactic actions, gravitational actions that they all have. And some of these flat galaxies would be part of that because you could see them distorted and bent as their outer edges are being pulled towards another galaxy. Well, that's neither here nor there. It's something to think about, though.
Yeah. Also, the star charts may indicate some dark lanes or knots that you may have missed on the first go around. Take a closer look and see if you can pick those out. The longer you look, the more you might see.
Yeah.
Actually, no, the more you look, the more you observe.
You sound like Yogi Berra. That's exactly what he said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can see a lot by observing.
Yeah, you sure can. You sure, the more you look, the more you see. And
well, there's a difference between the two.
Yes. You also alluded to the type of skies that are needed. This is a program which you really can't do in the city. You have to be out and under dark skies. It doesn't have to be all that far away, but still, you got to be able to see some really dim stuff. So in the city or even suburban skies, too bright for you.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's worth the trip.
Oh yeah, it might be a trek for some people. Some people are really lucky though and can just go outside, but that's pretty cool. And I didn't realize that there were so many of them. I know there are a handful that are easily observable with a mid-sized telescope, but as you were saying, you started out with a list of like 200 and started culling away and get the better ones. So there are a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Vince Sheets, who helped me with this, when he was doing programs, he would take a page in Uranometria and look at the galaxies, globulars, anything else that are on that page, long he has a telescope in that same general area of the sky. So he was working on a number of things at the same time. I don't do that. I have a
dedicated.
I do my homework ahead of time, make a list of what I want to see. Once I'm set up, I know what the first object is, and I just go down the list. You have to be organized.
Excellent. Let me see. Any other comments, Al? Or
no, I look forward to observations that people will send in.
Great, great. Well, on that then, I'd like to thank Al for taking his time for putting together this program and for creating, and then a number of years ago, 10 years ago, and then since then administering this program. It's not a beginner's, but then again, you're only a beginner at the beginning. So once you start these things, you get better and better. And this is one of the programs in the whole process of it all. Um, they're all rewarding, including this. As you saw some of the comments that Al had posted from satisfied viewers, they certainly did like it. They all agreed it's not the easiest thing to do, but it is rewarding. And by the time you're done with this, you're a much better observer. And what I mean by that is that that's what Al was just saying, that the more you look, the more you see. So you'll be able to see a lot more with the experience under your belt. Anyway, this is a really interesting program. It's been with us for 10 years, and the league is lucky to have it because it really adds something to our whole program series. So anyway, I'd like to thank you all for joining us, and thank you again, Al, for doing this for us today. And we will be seeing you later in another of our programs. Remember, this is the 75th anniversary of the Astronomical League, so we're continuing these programs throughout the year. So I can't tell you what the next one's going to be, but I hope you tune in for our next one. So Al, thank you, and I'll see
Okay,
everybody out there.
right out.